So the very first rule of thumb is very simple. When you're shopping, you're going to notice that you've got your almonds, and you've got different types of almonds. So you're always going to flip it over and look at the ingredients. So you can see right here, this is almonds, one ingredient. And then when you move from regular almonds to almonds with sea salt, so this should technically be only almonds and salt, you start to recognize that it's almonds, oils, and salt, because they need the salt to stick to the almonds somehow. So rule number one with all grocery shopping, flip it over, look on the back, look at the ingredients. Second thing we're going to talk about here is the math. But rule number one, you're going to notice, look at these. It goes from just almonds to now almonds, corn binders, oils. It is just getting worse. So now when you see 3 net carbs up here on products, what it simply means is this. It has 6 grams of carbohydrates and 3 grams of dietary fiber. And what that means is you have 6 grams of carbohydrates, 3 grams of dietary fiber. That slows down the glucose release into your blood. So this is why after you eat a heavy carbohydrate meal with no dietary fiber, you feel lethargy. You're just like, ugh, like I'm like, oof. Like, you know, when you eat a really big meal and you feel tired from it, that is not normal. It simply means that you may have had too many carbohydrates and not enough dietary fiber, so your blood sugar is spiking. When your blood sugar spikes too high, that affects with anxiety and brain-derived neurotrophin factor as well, which there'll be links down below to explain all of this. But basically, when we're looking for shopping product-wise, we need to be paying attention to the ingredients, which down below this video will be linked to the 50 Brain Cell Challenge as well, so you can understand ingredients a little bit better. Now, when you're looking for on-the-go type snacks, you gotta be aware of the same thing. Obviously, a lot of the name brand foods are not the best. Your Chewies, you can see over here, this is 100 calories. This is a plethora of ingredients. As you start looking through the shelves, I can tell you that, you know, your Laura bars are going to be a little bit better. They've got 4 ingredients in them. Banana chocolate chips, super good. Peanut butter cookie, super good. Chocolate chip cookie dough, peanut butter cookie. These are all really good, but what you're going to start to pay attention to is, once again, the ingredients on all of these. So I would say, without knowing your genetics, your gut health, your needs individualized, you know, Laura bars are not a bad choice. RX bars are not a bad choice. Your Luna bars are coming in close, but lemon zest sounds nasty. So your Cliff bars are not a terrible option, but you can see 260 calories over here. This one contains twice the ingredients as this one. So a 40 calorie difference, you get more ingredients over here. Yes, it has a little bit more nutrients. That's where these ingredients are coming from. So the big difference in feeling is going to be 42 carbohydrates, 5 grams of dietary fiber versus 25 and 3. So this one could be a better choice after a workout when your body's more sensitive to the sugars. This could be one when you're not after a workout. So technically after a workout, you would want a little bit more carbohydrates, and not after a workout, you would want a little bit less carbohydrates. So that brings you into another step, which is considered nutritional timing. So after you wake up, you can remember a phrase called "wake up, don't eat, let your glycogen deplete," which is a phrase I created for learning how to do fasting. And when you wake up in the morning, you're going to deplete the glycogen stores, which is where we make it hangry. Our brains can't run on ketones just yet. That's where B5 comes into play. Pantothenic acid helps the sugar to fat conversions. So let's say we wake up in the morning, you know, our bodies already have sugar stores from yesterday. So putting more sugar into the body is not the ideal situation for homeostasis. So after exercise, you know, the amount of carbohydrates you're going to be able to consume go up. So think of it this way. You wake up in the morning and your cell starts off like this. If you choose to fast, it opens up a little bit more. It can better absorb those sugars later in the day. And then after you exercise, it can absorb those sugars even more. So when we wake up in the morning and eat, we're closing off those cells, we're creating body fat. Now I would say if you're a cracker lover of any sort, Ritz, heck no. Cheez-Its, heck no. Clubs, heck no. Chicken biscuits, heck no. Just look at the back. So you can see like Triscuits has like 3 simple ingredients on it. Canola oil is not the worst, but you got to think about your omega-3 fatty acids in a day. So here's your 20 and 3, and then 3 ingredients versus 19, 0, and a plethora. So now another large obvious comparison would be owns the whole shelf, not the best. Owns the whole shelf, definitely not the best. As you start to look into different alternative brands, you can see, like, you know, this one only has 2 spots, this one has 3 spots in a place that you can't even reach. So usually the one that's in a place that you can't reach is probably the better one. And as you can see, vegan, gluten-free up here. You know, still 18 and 1 when it comes to the glucose, maybe a little bit better ingredients, but I would say just don't eat cookies. It's not, humans don't need cookies. So same thing when you're trying to make your determinations for your potato chips. You know, this says smart food, this is caramel cheddar. You flip over on the back and it's basically, you know, carbohydrates, and then you've got corn syrup and oils, and then binders and food colorings. So like this at a core, you just would not consume this as a source of carbohydrates. This is an inferior choice and source of carbohydrates due to the fact that here, we'll even go back to that one really quickly. You can see there's ingredients on here, but these are not the natural reoccurring ingredients themselves. So as you remember, I mentioned with fasting, you have the pantothenic acid right here. So 100% or 200% of your daily value of pantothenic acid. But then you come over here and you can see that our pantothenic acid is actually coming from a non-phytonutrient. And what that means is you should get pantothenic acid from real sources of food. So yes, these have the vitamins in them, but they are not a phytonutrient. So they did not come from the food that has that nutrient naturally reoccurring inside of it. And I can tell you, when I first started, I was drinking Mountain Dew, I was doing all the Dr. Peppers, I was doing the Red Bulls, I was doing the Monsters. I slowly transitioned over into like drinks like this, and then I just recognized that having a healthy life is actually how you produce energy. So you do not need energy drinks, and then same thing with energy drinks. You know, you come down and you look at one like this, and you can see that this one has, let's see what the caffeine is in here. So this has 160 milligrams of caffeine, as you can see right there. Now, based on a CYP1A2 gene, caffeine could or could not be valuable to you. Which means if you look in America, the leading cause of death is heart disease. So CYP1A2 genetics being elevated means 195 milligrams or less in a day of caffeine is ideal for you. And if you don't have that gene variant, then you can obviously consume a little bit more caffeine, but be very careful. Read the book Caffeine by Michael Pollan and the book Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker before you spend all day just consuming caffeine. Because you will create a feedback loop, you will lower your body's natural reoccurring energy, and you will become addicted to caffeine like a lot of people are in the morning. I need my coffee to wake up. No, you don't. So once again, sugars, glucose, not ideal at all. And you'll start to see the marketing that is being created here. So I would not consume any of these types of sugars. I drank these when I was younger, didn't know any better. I used to do these to try to drink more water, and then eventually you just kind of realize after your gut microbiome is re-inoculated that consuming these types of things don't make you feel good. So now when we're looking at like dried fruits, frozen fruits, normal fruits, your frozen are gonna have the most nutrients, your cold ones are gonna have the second most nutrients, and then your ones that sit on the shelves that are in like boxes like these, we definitely just don't want, because what we're coming across on these is very obvious. So, you know, you have your vitamin C in here, ascorbic acid, you've got protectors for Keller, which is your ascorbic acid, but these are not the ideal choice. It's honestly just kind of gross, and then now they put no sugar added, you know, which one's which at the point in time. So when you're moving over into these types of foods, they're not as bad. This is a better snack than a bag of potato chips. And, you know, it's obviously going to cost way less and have way less calories in it. But once again, we're going over to the ingredients here. We can see dried mangoes. And then we have the real version of nutrients, which is potassium here. A lot of people don't get enough potassium in a day. So, you know, your choice between snacking on potato chips or snacking on dried fruits are ideal. And anybody that complains at the price, this is why we've created the Reset Button program for you to become financially free, making at least $10,000 a month. And you can go to the website and check out the reviews from other people of the program just to see that it's not as hard as you think it is. You've just been taught a thought and you're thinking that thought. Now it's time to learn new ones. Because you can live a pretty good life off of the thoughts of others, but in order to live a great one, you need to find your own. So now if you like chocolate, at first when you consume these higher level of cacao, it's going to taste like poison. You want to stay over 70% for heart health. So 70 plus is your better percent. And you can notice that other candies that contain cacao chocolate do not even tell you what percent is in there. And depending on what grocery store you have access to, as I said, I'm going to one that does not contain as many healthy foods. These ones are better than gelatinous sludge. If you're the type of person that likes to eat your dried beefs, let me show you a little compare and contrast. You'd have to be crazy to consume these, but what you're looking for in these specifically, 50 Brain Cell Challenge will reveal it to you. But you've got sodium nitrates, BHA, BHTs, dextrose, monosodium glutamate in here. You basically just have probably very terrible tasting food covered in ingredients that are taste modifiers. Everybody has been told Takis are ridiculously ingredient. I've never had them a day in my life, but I'm sure I would have eaten them in the past. But same ingredients, maltodextrins, monosodium glutamates, your red 40s, your oils. It's just a conglomerate of chemicals or ingredients, whatever you like to call them. All right, so if you absolutely require some type of soda, at first, when you drink something like this, it's gonna be carbonated, but it's gonna taste really terrible if you're used to high fructose corn syrup. So when you're deciding between these, you know, bubblies, you could probably use that one. You got your LaCroix, a little bit worse to be honest. But once we make it over to the chilled section, I will show you my preferred choice. When you're looking at your wine choices, check out cdc.gov research, but your red wine has a lot more resveratrol in it, and just learn about resveratrol in red wine. Remember, with coffee, you're looking at your CYP1A2 genetics. You may or may not have elevated risk of caffeine metabolism. So when it comes to your oils, there's a lot of fun stuff with oils, but the only real takeaway I'm gonna give you here is pull up a chart that shows you your omega-6, your omega-3, and your omega-9, and then be very careful with what oils you decide to cook with. That's 500. So if you're having a bunch of steam off of your oils, or they're smoking, they're hitting their denature point, and that's not good. And then, once again, be very careful with what's in these, just because ingredients in some of them, which it looks like Pam's not sold at the grocery store anymore, so I can't even show you that one, but don't buy Pam. Now, if you're the person that likes to bake, obviously we know, granulated sugar, brown sugar, cane sugar. The body's still going to process these pretty much all the same way. You're looking on the back over here, organic brown sugar. So technically glucose either way you look at it. So I'm going to leave the baking up to somebody who's more of a professional at it. But out of all these things right here, the only things that I may touch would be the honeys or like an agave nectar. Definitely not the what is the ooh. Now, if you need to have breakfast, make your own. That's disgusting. Celebrate birthday with a healthy meal, not pink funfetti cake marshmallow. Ugh. Now, I will tell you a majority of spices are going to be good for you. Obviously, avoid ones that there's like random cereal spices that exist, but some cool ones. So paying attention to this, you can see the salt does not supply iodine, a necessary nutrient. So some of these other salts that have iodine in them are actually essential. However, when we're looking at these, I can tell you for a fact that I fasted for 3 days and then I took a little bit of this salt and I immediately got ahead of it. So I'd try to find one that doesn't have an anti-caking agent in it. And if you're going to be using turmeric, you need black pepper. Absorption ratio goes up by 2,000%. When it comes to canned vegetables, you don't want those. I can tell you that on a daily, I consume cacao straight 100%. This is the point in time where you have to ask 20 years from now, do I want to increase my chances of illness and disease? This destroys your gut microbiome, all of it. So you can't have any of it. Rule of thumb with your rice is make your rice and then put it in the refrigerator for 24 hours. It's better for your gut microbiome that way. If you're having quinoa, you must ferment your quinoa. And then these rices that have random things added to them, just add your own ingredients. So remember, be wary where your nutrients are actually coming from. Make sure you're paying attention to your carbohydrates to dietary fiber math. And then what you're ultimately looking at here would be, a carbohydrate and a carbohydrate. But not all carbohydrates are created equal. This one has less protein, this one has less dietary fiber, this one has a little bit more carbohydrates, this one has no sodium, this one has sodium, this one has some fats, this one doesn't have some fats. But really what we're looking at down here is, do you want chickpea pea starch, topeka starch, or tapioca, xanthan gum, or would you want this one? I would take this one. But in reality, this one is $1.59. It is attached to Wix, this is why. And then this one is $3.79. It's attached to Wix, so you got to pay more for the healthier foods. And then in reality, your body's treating all of these like carbohydrates anyways. So even if we look at like red lentil pasta over here, I would choose this one in a heartbeat. 17 grams of dietary fiber, but you got to be very careful because that's a lot of dietary fiber for the average human being who hasn't been consuming it. But right there, one ingredient, that's our ideal choice. So now when you're looking at condiments, obviously Chick-fil-A is out of the story, but you're going to see that companies like Heinz over here, Heinz has no sugar added, Heinz has organic certified, Heinz has Simply. We're just going to simply not choose Heinz if we need ketchup, and we're going to be going for Primal Kitchen. Very good brand. So I would say Primal Kitchen if you need your ketchup. Definitely not the company that takes up the whole shelf. If you experience acid reflux, I'd like you to check out and do your own research on consuming apple cider vinegar prior to your meals. Then remember, you can choose your monosodium glutamate yum yum ranch dressing, or you can come over here to Primal Kitchen. And one of the cool things you're going to notice with a lot of these that are organic is you see how you can see the oil, but then if you shift this way, you see the rest of the product. That's correct. This is just disgusting. Now, a lot of people do their bone broths when they're fasting and or breaking their fasts. And once again, talk to your doctor, talk to your PCP, talk to somebody smarter than me. Some people need the sodium, some people don't need the sodium, some people have taste preferences. So among these, if you're making vegetables, you choose. Now, if you need protein snacks on the go, tuna, hell no. I can tell you that they're absolutely a little bit more gross, but like wild tuna and or I didn't think they had them, but sardines right here actually. So sardines in olive oil. It's a legitimate fish, yes, so it's pretty gross, but you would choose that before you would choose any of this hot buffalo chemically filled shit. Now your pickles are supposed to be in a chilled section because they're actually microbiome positive foods. Now when you come over to your peanut butters and your almond butters, very, very easy rule of thumb. You see this, no oil on top. That means it's going to have some sort of hydrogenated vegetable oil in it, which you can see right here, hydrogenated vegetable oils. It's a double bond, that's why it's not normal at room temperature. You come over here, you see this, your peanut butter should have oil on top, and you can see that the ingredients are dry roasted peanuts. And at the end of the day, you're getting the same amount of carbohydrates and dietary fiber regardless which ones you choose, but you're getting hydrogenated oils that are harder for your body to break down versus no hydrogenated oils at all. And you can see it clearly says on the label right here, hydrogenated vegetable oil, cottonseed, soybean, and rapeseed to prevent separation. And the reason people choose this is because it's easier to spread on their bread, which is, you know, easy, not the smart choice. A little bit harder to spread on your bread, right choice. And then remember, ingredients-wise, same calories. So you get the same calories from this, but you just get stuff you don't need here. Now with fruits, frozen fruits, good choice. You know, if you need these types of foods, you really truly do need to look at it. Okay, so, you know, this one's from Hot Pockets, this from some Hot Pockets. Hot Pocket, probably not good. You know, you move up here and you start looking at these ones, you're gonna see the majority have just, that's a plethora of ingredients. You'd consider making your own by getting your own chicken strips, mozzarella cheese, Parmesan cheese, maybe some ranch dressing, tomato, bacon, and hand-rolled crust. Like, you will pay in the future for just consuming this conglomerate of gook. If you're a pizza lover, something I would tell you to pay attention for is when you poop the next day, if your poop's floating, and that's steatorrhea, too much fat in your diet. And I know a lot of people that consume a whole one of these in a day. That's 3 servings per container. That's 1,260 grams of fats, and then over about 100 grams of carbohydrates. So pizza, make your own decision. When it comes to your breads, you would check out the book called Grain Brain. And in reality, once again, inferior source of carbohydrates, inferior source of carbohydrates, and gross. Same thing, keeping an eye out for your bottom to top ownership of shelves. So Lego the Eggo, because it's gross. You can see how other brands say, like, you know, no artificial flavors, preservatives, high fructose corn syrup, sweeteners. So these pre-made meals are out of the picture. There's a doctor that once said, I don't remember his name, that says if you can't find healthy food, don't eat. Sounds crazy, right? Nah. When you're rolling over into your lunch meats, you're going to be looking at processed meats and digestive cancers. So pay attention to your processed versions of meats and the increase of colorectal cancers. So, you know, processed meats, processed meats, processed meats. Hot dogs are literally on the cdc.gov for increasing the chances of cancers. Cheese, same thing. Can you process lactose? If you can, may be the right decision for you, may not be the right decision for you, but you have to be careful. Remember to always flip it over. A lot of these are gonna have starches in them just so they don't bind. So right here you can see, you know, microbials, Kellers, inhibitors, so mold inhibitors. So I wouldn't choose that one over maybe coming across something along the lines of like this, like an actual hunk of cheese itself. As you can see, very, very different ingredient set. And then I would just like to assume my mom was not educated enough because, whoa, We feed this to children. That's insane. Now there's something called casein A1 proteins and casein A2 proteins, which is why you see this A2 milk. So if you have the chance to get goat, bison, or sheep, that's going to be superior to cow. Now over here with your meats, don't really advise them, kind of on your own there, but remember you're paying attention. You know, Jimmy Dean is a name brand, and Jimmy Dean also puts the same ingredients that are in Hidden Valley and Flamin' Hot Cheetos, monosodium glutamate, which is why this beef tastes good. There's really no difference between your white and your brown eggs. And remember, just because you don't see the ingredient on here, as in it doesn't seem like it has the nutrient, all that really means is that some companies just can't afford it. So you can see this is an egg, and well, why would that egg have more than this egg when they're both eggs? And then eggs made from plant, missing all the essential nutrients. When you're looking at your yogurt, could or could not be good for your gut microbiome health. However, we do not know the state of your gut microbiome health. And I can tell you at one point in time, I was combining chia seeds and Too Good together. When you're looking at your grapes, brown stem, gonna go bad soon. Green stem, gonna last a little bit longer. So you're looking for the green in the stem when you buy them. And if it's a brown stem right here, it's not gonna last very long. You need to eat it ASAP. And then the real ultimate takeaway is like this right here. If I needed food and I didn't have access to my own food, I would definitely choose this. And then I would choose this because look, natural ingredients, nothing crazy. And then we look at the carbohydrates, the dietary fiber ratio. We've got 33 carbohydrates, 5 grams of dietary fiber. Hell yeah, great choice. You know, the latter is a muffin, which is definitely not a good choice. All you gotta do for your avocados is just squeeze them. You can tell how ripe they are. And these are a great source of dietary fiber and potassium. I actually was eating 2 of these a day at one point in time, and I got a blood test, and the doctor said, how are your potassium levels so great? Please don't drink onion juice. You can poison yourself very easily. Off the internet, it says, oh yeah, eat onions and drink the juice. No, 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 you can easily poison yourself, not fun. But boom, right here, perfect color, perfect little bit of a push on that. That's a good one. Lemons can help you drink more water. Limes can do that as well. Your bananas would be your inferior dietary fiber to potassium ratios, but your superior after workout choice. Remember the carbohydrate conversation. Mangoes are kind of similar to avocados. Test and see how loose they are. Potassium's hard for a lot of people to get, so right here's 10% of your daily value of potassium, so you get some potassium from your kiwis. Here's your pickles hanging out in the chilled section. If your broccoli stems are loose, it's not going to last very long. Also, you shouldn't buy the ones covered in plastic. And the way that you settle the plastic debate is very simple. So think in terms of over 10 years of time as I'm consuming foods that buildups in my body that do not get taken away. So for instance, if you're not the type of person that fasts, if you've never done any sort of detoxes, if you've been constantly consuming random foods, you realize just in time as dementia forms, Alzheimer informs, that you fill up parts of your cells. So beta amyloid plaques technically forming in the brain, that's slowing down synaptic plasticity over a few decades. Your brain health severely deteriorates. So it's the same thing with all little toxins in our body. At small amounts, they don't matter, but our bodies are not naturally consuming these, so they don't have a natural process to get rid of these. So in time, it constantly just adds up. It's with everything in life. You know, in moderation, sure, you could probably agree that, you know, in moderation, having salads, foods would be fine. In moderation, having these things would be fine. But you have to also take into consideration that if like this is all you consume versus this one's probably not as good as this one. So this is why I always say to count your ingredients. And then like even with your meats, they're super shiny and red. Like grass-fed beef, look at the difference in color. This is not the same color as that. It's completely different. So you can see what's going on right here, right? And then one of the big things, remember, you're gonna pay the price for choosing these meals. So breaded chicken with black beans, corn salsa, and cheddar cheese. So chicken, black beans, corn salsa, and cheddar cheese. What is all of this? So you can see like that's what it says it was. That's what it actually is. A ridiculous conglomerate of ingredients. And we are almost done. So now there's no Olipops over here, but Olipops are a pretty decent choice. You're naked, not a good choice. It's basically just juice version of fruits itself. These zero drinks for kombucha. Kombucha could be good for some people who need it. You know, this is just kind of expensive water. You might as well buy watermelon, eat the pomegranate itself. You know, kombucha could be useful if your gut microbiome needs it. These types of drinks, probably not the best. Like, yeah, omega-3 fatty acids and B12, you should get that from your food. Ginger, turmeric, with the turmeric, without the pepper. So as you can see, it has black pepper in here, so they usually include that. Some of them don't, but there's the black pepper for the absorption ratio of the turmeric. And that pretty much ends the food section at Target. So when you're thinking about your food decisions, down below is going to be a little bit of a link for determining your amount of dietary fiber you should have in a day. You're determining whether you've just worked out and you're consuming carbohydrates versus not working out, which is your insulin sensitivity and ability to absorb sugar. You know, we're actually looking at what's inside of everything because, whoops, you're going to see 5 net carbs over here. You're going to see 23 and 13, so they're hiding some stuff somewhere that you need to be aware of. You should really focus on getting your proteins from real foods, but I know Garden of Life is not a bad brand. And then same thing with ingredients, these are all a little bit different. You know, these are the nutrient shakes that are sold to old people. You know, your insurer over here, definitely not the best thing to do. Atkins, doctor that believed in something, not individualized based on gut microbiome needs or nutrigenomics. Taking things like melatonin, just have a better sleep schedule, exercise, stop looking at light before bed. Your B12s, same thing. Genetics-wise, you may need a methylated versus non-methylated version. You can determine that through genes. That's why we do gene testing. You know, when it comes to joint health, losing weight is one of the most important things you can do. Every 1 pound of weight is 4 pounds of joint pressure. So if you got pain in your body, find out what your ideal weight is. And you know, a big common misconception in society is like prenatals, okay? So if you are pregnant, now you should start consuming the nutrients. We should have started consuming these at least 2 years prior to actually concepting. A lot of doctors will recommend this. One of them will say, I don't want butt cancer. So there's Metamucil out there, but you can get your fiber from a healthy diet. But if you have an unhealthy diet, may consider adding this. And then Metamucil, no. Why? Because look, powdered psyllium husk. Then you go over here and you've got food coloring. So Metamucil, hell no, not no more, because we can read that this one doesn't have food coloring in it. So your better choice is going to be not Metamucil. Anything else other than something that has literal food coloring in it. And aspartame, same stuff as diet soda, you kidding me? If you eat healthy, exercise, and hydrate, you should not be getting colds. Mucus buildup is combined to the amount of carbohydrates you're consuming and or overall gut health. Allergies are even connected to gut microbiome health. So Claritin Clear, no, how about we figure out how to properly take care of ourselves and not have to worry about these types of things. And now think of your body's natural processes. When it's feeling pain, the last thing you want to do is make that pain go away magically by coating the receptors that are still firing in pain. So pain relievers, figure out the real cause of the pain. And yes, bare aspirin under the tongue during a heart attack could be beneficial. But getting over into these patches people put on their body because they're in pain, if you are in pain in any way, shape, or form, losing weight is the first thing you do. And then with circadian rhythms, you've got a lot of these sleep masks out here. You've got earplugs. So yeah, if you live in a busy city, there's a lot of light somewhere, a sleep mask may be beneficial. Earplugs may be beneficial. But taking these things that say sleep, not beneficial. If you ever decide to do the ketogenic diet, you're going to want these keto strips. So that's pretty much the entire grocery store in a nutshell. Down below, there's going to be a bunch of links over to the 50 Brain Cell Challenge, Homeostasis Diet page, a whole bunch of other resources that you may or may not need. We all know that this is right near the checkout aisle. Like, wait, before you go, make sure you buy everything that you don't actually need. So I hope you enjoyed that little walkthrough tour of Target. And this is locked apparently. Oh, nope, just kidding. Little kid ran by, now I can leave. I walked out the wrong door. But your big takeaways when it comes to nutrition is being aware of how many calories you need in a day. Like, that is extremely important. Do not undereat. Undereating could be a major cause of problems that you're experiencing. So sometimes people might have brain fog, they might have lethargy, they might have issues, and those issues could be directly due to the fact that they're not getting enough calories. But I thank you for watching the video this far. If you have any questions, feel free to book a call, have a conversation. You're more than welcome to work with our dietitian. We have a Discord group down below where we do weekly calls. We do gut microbiome testing, nutrigenomics testing, we do genetic testing, we do blood testing, we do hair testing. So in an ideal world, if you really truly wanted a diet plan, you would allow us to test your stool, test your blood, test your hair, and test your saliva, so we can write the diet plan for the rest of your life. So if you enjoyed that video, feel free to subscribe, comment down below what you'd like to see from me in the future. And I thank you so much for investing in your health, because healthy people make a healthy planet. See ya, bye.